So next thing I'm gonna do is take off the pressure plate. The rubber dust seals right here on both cables were off. They'd fallen down here, so I put them on. This is a part that I've seen a guy who manufactures a replacement for this white socket, and one way or another he puts like a cotter pin through that grabs the shaft before the ball to keep the ball in the socket. I might do that because my driver's side one, this one, has fallen out before, although it hasn't done it for quite a while. Anyhow, these little star bolts, they're 8mm, and I'm gonna get those babies off, and I'll show you a trick I use there. Okay, two things. I put the old clutch alignment tool in here just so that when I take the pressure plate off, the clutch doesn't fall on the ground. It'll be on the, and I can manually take that off with some care. And the other thing is that I just put the back end of my my jack handle on my wrench just so I can get some leverage on it, because that's 2 feet longer. Anyhow, just a quick thing. All the bolts for the pressure plate are off. The only thing that's holding it now is there's 3 or 4 little studs like this. They're basically alignment points. So I got to take a little persuader and kind of lever them off of that, and then be prepared to catch it, because it weighs like 5 pounds or something. So there it is. Flywheel. I didn't replace it last time, so that's got about, well, from 65 to 136 on it. Doesn't look bad to me. Obviously, when I put it back on, I'm going to clean it all up and try not to get any oil on it now. But I got to just figure out how I locked that flywheel down so that I can get those flywheel bolts off, because those babies are on there, as you can imagine. Anyhow, you got to prevent the flywheel from spinning in order to be able to get any torque on those bad boys. And I'm sure I'll use my extension on from my jack handle to be able to really crank on those to get them loose. And here's my that's my clutch. That's a spec stage 1, I think. One more aggressive. Sorry about that. Fat fingered the phone. One more aggressive than the OEM clutch. And there's a pressure plate, and it looks good. Just needs a little cleanup. Okay, so that's a T55 in each of the flywheel bolts, and I've just used something pretty strong on one of the studs on the flywheel, and I reinserted bolt C, probably a good inch and a half in the hole, so I don't mess that up. And now I'm got leverage on a ratchet, and just got to get those things all broken loose, which I forgot kind of sucks. Anyhow, that's what I'm doing, and then once they're all loose, we'll go from there. So the flywheel's also got some alignment studs on it, just so you can get it on. And obviously that's the pilot bearing in there, so I actually have a fresh one of those. It came with my clutch when I put it on, and since I'm taking the flywheel off this time, I'll probably put it in. Anyhow, I gotta muscle this thing off, and they weigh a few pounds, so I put my gloves on when I do that stuff, just in case my hands are getting banged on the cross member or something like that. Yeah, so I was just talking to my father-in-law, and I kind of lost track of where I'm at, but I'm not sure how much of this I showed. I kind of dragged a paper towel over some things there. IMS at the bottom, obviously, with those 3 bolts that surround it. And rear main seal right there, and then the top right's the starter. Catch the edge of the flywheel. I'm leaving bolt C in because obviously I'm going to need to put the flywheel on and torque the flywheel bolts. And I got to do some research this afternoon to see if the flywheel bolts are in fact a one-time use. My instinct tells me that they are based on the way they look. If you can see them right there, they look like they've got a top section that may be stretched. And these other ones in the foreground are pressure plate bolts, and I know they're multiple use. So anyhow, I'm gonna go to the store and pick up a little bit of hardware and a lot of brake parts cleaner. I'll send some pictures or add some stuff when I clean some stuff up. So here's the transmission. I got to take the clutch fork off and that throwout bearing out. Everything looks pretty good other than just being dirty. And here's the tip of the slave. Pushes on that piece of the clutch fork right there. And because, like I said, the slave is so difficult to get in, that's it right there. And that's the bleed screw for the clutch. And that right there is the port that I took the hydraulic line out of. Anyhow, because that thing is just so difficult to put in, I'm just going to bleed the whole clutch when I get the thing done. Here's the one electrical sensor that needed to be removed. And obviously that's going from first to third to fifth piece of the linkage. And this one over here is 1, 2, then 3, 4, and 5, 6. And here's my clutch kind of cleaned up. I'm just keeping it all together. So that's a pressure plate, clutches inside, flywheels underneath that. All the bolts on my stuff. There was something else I wanted to show you. I'm going to show you underneath the car because I've kind of cleaned that up. I took a whole can of brake clean to that and got that a lot better underneath. I'm an idiot. I hit the power button on the phone, but anyhow, that's the back of the engine right there, and obviously you can see the rear main seal there and see the IMS and starter, and looks pretty good now. I'll do some final cleanup. And I've got the parts. Oh, I looked I went and bought new flywheel bolts, 8 of them for like $4 each, maybe even from the Porsche dealership. And I got a new RMS, which was like $66. Today's what, May 25th or 6th, 2021. So that's a point of reference anyway. That was from Hendrick Porsche. Again, I got the C bolt in there. I may have to put a different one in depending on angles in order to be able to tighten the flywheel bolts down. I got to read up on it, but the book said something about some foot-pounds and then 90 degrees from that. So anyhow, I'll find that book and show you a picture of that too. I think that's it for today, man. I'm gonna clean out the bell housing on the transmission and call it a day. All right, cleaned up the bell housing. I didn't go crazy with it. Cleaned up the mating surface to the motor, which I already did the motor side earlier. I took the clutch fork off and re-greased where the clutch slave cylinder is, and re-greased the pivot point, and lightly re-greased the tube that the throwout bearing slides on. Haven't put any grease on the splines yet because obviously that's got to come out when the nose of the transmission comes off, which is done by removing all of these bad boys. Haven't looked at what size they are. They look like they're maybe T40s, I don't know. The bolt that holds the clutch fork in is a T40. So took that off, cleaned it up, and then re-greased everything. So now all I got to do is drain the fluid out of the transmission and talk to my bro about whether we're gonna do the falling out of 6 thing ourselves, or if I'm gonna put this bad boy in a 140 quart igloo cooler and send it to Stanley at G-Box. I'd kind of rather me and my bro just hang out and do an easy job like the rear main seal and shoot the bull, because we ain't seen each other for a couple years. But I'm gonna talk to him, see what he wants to do. If he wants, because one of my concerns is that if we pull that nose of that transmission off and then figure that it's going to take 2 parts to fix it, but in fact, when he's come all the way from DC, if it takes 3 parts to fix it, I'm screwed. Probably, have to run to the dealership and they may not have it, and you know how that goes. So I got to talk to him tonight and see what we're going to do. But only job left now is to drain the fluid out of this bad boy, because Stanley says they got to get shipped dry to him. And the deal there, he said, was get a 140 quart igloo cooler, put it in that, pack around it, whatever. That's the best way. And then call him at G-Box. They'll send a shipping label, which you affix to the cooler. Take 2 days to ship, take 2 days for him to fix it, and 2 days for it to return. So anyhow, it's something I'm noodling on, and again, I'm going to talk to my bro about it, see what he says. That's it for today. I'm not sure if there's anything tomorrow. Probably not, because we're at a point. Later.